Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back my dear ones. Tonight by this humble fire we shall discuss politics. Yes, politics, that strange theater where adults dressed in suits argue like toddlers, slap each other with manifestos and insults, and still expect applause. But fear not, because Ubuntu has entered the chat. You see, Ubuntu is the African philosophy that says I am because we are. Imagine if politicians actually believed that. Instead of I am because I rigged elections, or I am because I own the budget. Or the very popular one, I am because I destroyed my opponent on Twitter. Politics, that stage where promises are louder than firecrackers and results quieter than a sleeping goat. But Ubuntu whispers gently. My humanity is measured by how I humanize others. Simple, beautiful, powerful, and completely allergic to most politicians. Ubuntu says, if your neighbor is hungry, your stomach should rumble with them. But corruption says, well, if your neighbor is hungry, perfect, that's more food for me. Picture this, a nation builds a hospital. Ubuntu says heal the people. Corruption says steal the hospital, buy yourself a private clinic abroad, and tell the people to pray. In Ubuntu politics, stealing from the treasury would feel like stealing from your own mother's kitchen. In modern politics, stealing from the treasury feels like winning a lottery, only it happens every year. Ubuntu has something to say on tribalism and racism. Have you heard that chant? My tribe first, my race first, my people only. Cheap slogans, my dear ones. Tribalism and racism are the cheapest tricks in the political magician's box. Easy to play, easy to spread, but very hard to cure. They divide a nation like slicing bread only to butter one side. And when the whole nation is starving, they still stand there demanding applause. Ubuntu answers, my tribe is the human tribe, my race is the human race. How about on violence and extrajudicial killings? Have you heard about extrajudicial killings? Ubuntu says every life is sacred. Every death is a tear in the fabric of the community. But some leaders treat citizens like mosquitoes. When they protest, swat them. When they criticize, vanish them. When they ask questions, silence them. Ubuntu disrupts this madness. It whispers, kill your citizens and you kill your own soul. But the souls of many leaders, my dear ones, have long been on 5-star vacations financed by their huge foreign bank accounts. On refusal to leave power, the sit-tight syndrome, the disease of I'm the only chosen one forever. The Constitution says 2 terms, they say 2 terms. Yes, renewable, like airtime. Age limits? Why stop me at 80? I can still wave at crowds even if someone has to hold my hand. Some treat state houses like ancestral homes. Even the ghosts of old presidents wander the corridors whispering, brother, are you still here? Ubuntu whispers, leadership is service and service has seasons. But politicians scream, leadership is a throne and I'm glued to it with super glue, divine right and just a sprinkle of witchcraft. So, they hold on to the torch so long that instead of passing it, they burn down the entire house. Can Ubuntu help in global challenges? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, let us not only laugh at the global south. The sickness of politics is everywhere. Look around the world, my dear ones. Look at war and conflict. Nations bomb each other in the name of peace. Leaders send young men to die while they themselves send their children to private schools abroad. Ubuntu whispers, Your enemy is not another nation. Your enemy is hunger, poverty, and despair. But politics replies, war is good for business. How about climate change? The earth burns, the seas rise, the air chokes. Ubuntu says if the river dries in my neighbor's village, my own throat will thirst. But politics says, drill baby, drill oil, and all trees, and all minerals. The earth is groaning, but leaders are too busy campaigning to hear. How about inequality? My dear ones, the richest few fly to space for fun, while millions dig in the dirt for food. Ubuntu says, if one of us is in chains, none of us is free. Politics says, let the market decide, but the market has no conscience. How about technology and manipulation? And now, my dear ones, politics has discovered social media, where truth goes to die. Bots campaign harder than humans, algorithms decide elections. Ubuntu reminds us, a lie that divides us is more dangerous than a truth that hurts us. But in politics, lies trend faster than truths. And the AI and the future? Some leaders now dream of ruling with machines. Ubuntu says, a human is not a data point. A human is a heartbeat. But politics says, how do we monetize that heartbeat? Let me tell you a story, my dear ones. Once a village elected a chief. The people said, lead us with wisdom. The chief said, I will. But soon, he started eating alone. Soon he said, the throne is mine forever. Soon he said, those who oppose me must vanish. The whole village grew cold, hungry, and afraid. One night, an old woman stood by the fire and whispered, Ubuntu, I am because we are. If you harm me, you harm yourself. If you silence me, you silence your own voice. If you starve me, you starve your own children. The next morning, the people remembered her words. They rose together, not as a tribe, not as a race, not as rivals, but as one. And when they moved as one, the chief's palace walls crumbled. Because no throne can stand against Ubuntu. My dear ones, Ubuntu in politics is not a dream, it is possible. It means leaders who say, I am because we are. Not I am because I looted. Not I am because I divided. Not I am because I killed. And certainly not I am because I refuse to live. Ubuntu would end corruption because you cannot steal from your own people without stealing from yourself. It would end tribalism and racism because harming one tribal race is like cutting off your own hand. It would end extrajudicial killings because taking life tears the fabric of your own humanity. It would end dictatorship because service has dignity, but overstaying has only comedy. And yet here we are, leaders hoarding wealth, clinging to thrones, buying votes like street snacks and calling it landslide victories. So, until Ubuntu reigns in politics, we sit by the fire, warming our hands, roasting our sweet potatoes, and yes, roasting our politicians too. Because, my dear ones, a leader without Ubuntu is like a fire without warmth, nothing but smoke choking us all. Ubuntu in politics. Try it before the fire burns us all. Thank you so much for watching. We meet again.